Hey, everybody, it's Dr. John Sherk, and it's Wednesday morning, 11 o'clock Central Time, and that means this is Brown Bag Lunch, where I bring you all manner of tips and tricks and ideas and opportunities to advance the life of an air conditioning technician, whether that's you listening, Mr. Technician, or someone who loves you. So, what I want to talk about today, by the way, I just want to say I'm sorry I missed a couple weeks here. Just a great lesson for you to pick up on. From me, everything great in life that gets accomplished is accomplished entirely by imperfect action, right? It just is. So when this little brown bag lunch has been remarkably effective in based on your feedback and reaching out to people and people who have reached out to me and creating some exposure. So stuff happens. I was out of town and had a technology problem. And then, here I am again, and it's still working. So whatever's going on for you, just remember, perfection is not really your friend. It's a nice goal, but what really matters is continued imperfect action, and that will get you there. So just a side comment. What I wanted to give you today is something a little more kind of nifty, practical, I guess. With summer coming in particular, mindset is really important. How do you keep yourself mentally going in the midst of, hot attics, hot crawl spaces, and all that? So what I want to do is give you some questions to ask yourself in the morning. And I want to encourage you to think about a morning routine, because this will create resiliency if you do it. Questions like, how can I add more happiness to what I'm doing today? Like, what are the things that I can do today to just add more happiness and joy to it, right? More positive emotion, more resilience, okay? How do I want to show up today? Do I want to show up with compassion? Do I want to show up with encouragement? Do I want to show up with high energy? Choosing that, again, helps you with resilience. One of the challenges that all technicians have is this kind of having to play the hand you're dealt for that day. You can't choose what temperature it is outside. Depending on what kind of a company you're in, you can't choose what calls you're going to answer. So finding a proactive way around your mindset is an important part of resilience so that you just don't feel blown and tossed, okay? Another one is, how am I meant to serve people today? And just position yourself there. This is, in a counterintuitive way, for those of you in particular who feel like you are not being given the respect or the status that you deserve in the company that you work for, it sounds like it's a reverse question, but it frees you from that burden. What you don't need as the temperature goes up is going into a crawl space that's 120 degrees with the thought, no one's respecting me at work, right? Now, look, long term, if that's a problem that never goes away, then you need to reconsider where you're working. But on any given day, if you reorient your mind to saying, how am I meant to serve today? It just frees you from that burden, at least for the day. Now, if you have to do that again and again and again and again, there's a different root cause problem that we have to talk about. But on any given time, if you're feeling weighed down, right? If you're feeling burdened by that, this is a great way to release yourself of that burden. How am I meant to serve today? Another one is, what do I want today? Put in the front of your mind, what is it that you want and that you're going to get today? Compensation, the thrill of doing work that you're great at. It's a wonderful feeling to know you're good at something and then go do it. I want to hear that customer say thank you so much. Whatever those things are that you want, put yourself in the mindset of going to get them, right? This again creates resilience because you're not being blown and tossed by the oddities of the whatever dynamic is driving you in the way your business, where you work, the way it's set up. What kind of urgency am I experiencing today? Am I going to experience a kind of urgency that leads to things that I want? Or am I experiencing urgency that I'm just kind of trying to shed because I'm not dealing with a root cause issue that's behind that urgency? In other words, um, I'm getting urgent feedback from a dispatcher to finish this job and go to the next one. Okay. What am I going to do with that urgency? Am I going to handle that by saying, screw that dispatcher, this place stinks? That leads to no resiliency. That makes your life harder if you go there with it. If instead you say, I'm going to handle it in this way instead. I'm going to handle this urgency as increasing my thank yous from a customer that day. Now, here again, if you have this experience over and over and over again, and you have to develop significant coping skills because the way the work is set up for you, then you need to reconsider solving that problem differently. But for that day, for today, how do I be resilient? So take what I'm saying here, process those questions. How can I add more happiness to what I'm doing? How do I want to show up? How am I meant to serve? What do I want today? What am I going to do with this urgency today? Or add your own. But on net, what I want to kind of encourage you to do is come up with a morning routine, maybe even put it on a card and you put it in your truck. And it's a way to establish your mindset at the beginning of every day so that you're ahead of the game and not from the first call rolling your eyes and feeling weighed down and like, oh, here we go again. Okay. How you start your day will dictate a lot about how resilient you feel throughout the day. Okay. And again, we're talking about today. If there are those dynamics that seem to happen every single day, then daily resilience still is important, but it's also important to deal with the root cause stuff behind that. Okay. Now, listen, that's the sort of lesson for today. I also want to make sure that you are reaching out to Apple Podcast and to Spotify to get episodes of HVAC Joy Lab, HVAC Joy Lab. So, excuse me, search it. It'll come right up. You'll see our little logo there. That's like a little science beaker with stuff growing in it. And then this week we did a very good episode with Adam Kuhlman, who we talk about body heat dumping. All right. So, which is an important topic for techs as we get into summertime, and some tactics that will really put you ahead of the game and give you something much more advanced than a cold towel on your neck. And ways that when you can dump the heat quickly enough, you can avoid the actual exhaustion that comes from the process and have, again, much more physical resilience throughout your day. HVAC Joy Lab, be sure and look it up. Okay. Listen, my name's John Sherk, and this has been Brown Bag Lunch. I'm here for you guys. And so if you want to reach out, if you want to get to know me, if you want to, even if you want to be on the podcast, especially then, sometimes folks will say to me, well, I'm just so-and-so. I don't know if I'm sort of experienced enough to be on your podcast. It's important that because this podcast is for technicians, I want you to hear technicians, because it's very common for a technician to feel like their problems are unique and their challenges are unique. And in fact, there's other people going through what you're going through, and it helps to hear other people talk about their challenges so you know, A, that you're not alone, and B, you hear how someone else is handling it. Okay? So listen, be sure and get on the podcast. And as far as Brown Bag Lunch, we'll see you next week.